Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're going to like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudrama stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
Home provided by the donations of storm relief and churches and just area people wanting to help out have come together and built a house for this whole family to come and live under one roof and begin again.
Yeah, and they're now upgraded from a mobile home that is obviously susceptible to tornado damage to, I assume, a traditional single family.
Yes, I think it was 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,100 or 1,200 square feet.
Wow.
Some of the most solid construction I've ever put my hands on. And the people who built it, it was an Amish family.
Wow, no.
Yeah, they drive down to find these areas in need, and they just spend some time doing the work. Wow. And when I say an Amish family, the whole family's helping. You've got a young son and his wife working, and then his mother and his father, and the women are doing as much as the men.
Wow.
Shingling roofs and tiling backsplashes and laying flooring, and it's so fantastic.
That's
coordination
amazing.
Of talents and abilities.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did not hesitate. They drove out of their way. They drove hours and hours and hours to find the need.
Amish people can't drive cars.
I don't know how they got here. I forgot to ask.
Gosh, Hayley, these are important things.
I saw them standing there. How did they get here?
Right,
that is a
it's kinda
long
like
way for a horse and buggy.
Well, Santa flies on a sleigh, and there's possibly if you're a magical Amish family that helps people, maybe you have a flying buggy.
Okay, campers, not them, but when I was working with the nonprofit, which was a few months after the storm, I stopped working with them. So this is why I don't have these details. I wasn't present for this part.
Yeah.
But the first group that was coming to build and repair some of the other homes, it's a group called the Nomads. And it's retired folks who get together and they bring their campers and they come to areas that have been devastated by storms.
Yep.
And they hang out in their campers at night, just having a good time. And then during the day, they go and they fix people's broken stuff.
That's awesome.
They are retired, so they have the time
freedom,
flexibility to do it. Yeah, so they pick their place. They go for a couple of months at a time. You have some fundraising obligations on your end to provide the materials and everything that they need, but they are bringing their labor and their skill and their experience, and they're just making fantastic things happen. And they're in campers.
What's the Amish version of that?
How did the Amish people get here? Golly.
I think. Yeah, because typically, like, Amish people live, like, in Ohio, Pennsylvania. There's probably more states, Michigan, like, up there. You're in Mississippi.
Covered wagon.
Well, and if it had been Mennonite, I think Mennonites are like the upgraded Amish where they can drive a vehicle. They're still pretty restricted.
So maybe that's what it Yes, they'd be dressed the same, right?
Very similar, like to the our untrained eye. Mm-hmm. Right?
Since I didn't see a horse and buggy, it had to have been Mennonites.
Maybe it's Mennonites.
How insulting that I
Right.
missed.
Our whole Mennonite potential listening group probably just all turned off.
Got super insulted. Okay, here's the question.
The Amish won't listen to us, so you can say whatever things you want to about the Amish, and they're not going to know.
Are we sure that they won't know? Because I think they use cabbed-in tractors.
They do? What? No, they don't.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We're
Amish
positive.
are hardcore against machinery. You need to learn your Amish. Amish v.
I
Mennonite.
only, like, my knowledge of the Amish is the Amish paradise. Though I walk through the valley where I harvest my grain, take a look at my wife, realize she's very plain.
Yes, that's your whole education.
But
I feel like that's the American educational system, though. Honestly, like that's what a lot of us got out of it. Like, what do you know about the Amish? Well, I know Amish paradise. Like that's something.
Well, it's the same reason why we don't know much about African history. It's because that information wasn't incorporated in our textbooks. The Amish people did not do a good job about putting their stories in front of other people.
Yeah.
So it's
The Amish lobby is weak.
super weak. Like,
Yeah. They may not even have much of one. I mean,
is this our calling? Is this what we should be doing?
That's right. I mean, the drug companies.
A brand ambassador for the
That's
Amish.
right.
Excuse me, guys.
Yeah.
I've got a business proposition for you.
Yeah.
I'd like to improve your face in American culture.
Yeah.
Probably Mennonites then. So
Yeah.
anyway, somebody with some skill showed up because those houses were solid.
Yeah.
The last time
Wood or like concrete, by the way, like block.
It had siding on the outside.
Okay.
I would say it was on a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It looked to be on a foundation. I mean, we're talking about a cursory glance whenever I walked in yesterday. Sheetrock walls, wood floors.
Okay, so it was probably a stick-built, like traditional, wood. But I'm sure they do such a better job than, like, if you hire one of these massive, like, construction firms that put up a bazillion homes a year and just hire hordes of people to slap it together and move on to the next. I mean, this is done well.
It felt like it was done really well, and the space was super efficient. Like the floor plans, everything in it was so thoughtfully done and so well executed. I was really proud to be a part of that outcome. Like sometimes you get involved in a project and then you're like, well, I don't know that I really want my name associated with that. Like heart was in a good place. That's what we'll go with. But this was one where you just say, that was a beautiful experience, start to finish. Like, the suffering was bad. The experience was traumatic. But when I saw that family, I was so excited to give them a hug and say, y'all probably don't remember me because I showed up in the midst of you going through some things. Yeah. But I remember you, and your story is amazing. Yeah. And I know that it's only going to turn into something fantastic. Yeah. I'm sorry for your suffering. But my gosh, I'm excited for the future that you have. Yeah. And they were nothing but happy. Like it was a good moment, and that house was just a good place to experience all of it. To see those prayers and those hopes come full circle. Yeah,
to where, like you said, started out in tragedy and then ends technically probably in a better place. I love it. All right.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.